let's take PlayStation 4.5 as a reality and not just a theory here. And let's take all the facts that we hear or theories and put them into a fact-based sort of layout. Now we know that the system is most likely going to be announced before October 2016, that it most likely will cost $400 and will be more powerful, probably supporting better graphical, looks for the upcoming games as well as PlayStation VR. So, with that being said, where does that leave PlayStation 4, and what does that mean for the future of PlayStation? Well, quite simply, we're already getting a couple of rumors saying that God of War 4 and a couple other games may launch on this device. This may be a lot bigger than we are currently expecting it to be, where it's just a console that they announce. No, this is a full-on new product that they're announcing. One of the questions that I've had for a very long time is, why don't they just call it PlayStation 4.5? That would, I believe, make more sense. This idea that shelf life is 10 years is kind of surprising because of the fact that we've seen that between N64 or PlayStation, that it's been it was about 5 to 6 years before PlayStation 2 came out, after PlayStation 1 launched, and it was about 6 years after that the PlayStation 3 came out. So, counting that into perspective, of course, it's only been 4 years and technology is moving faster, but might as well just call it PlayStation 5. Get a lot more people involved, tell everyone that it works on PlayStation 5, quote unquote. And, I think here's a point where they could just call it, something like Nintendo has done with the Wii to Wii U, right? Because naming is going to be everything here. If they name it something stupid, it's going to confuse the market. If they name it correctly, it'll make sense. The thing about Wii U was the fact that it was confusing. It made no sense. Now this will make sense, especially if you persuade people that it makes sense because of the power that is offered in it. It all depends on the name. I think PlayStation 4.5 won't be 4.5, but it will be called something else. And whether that's Pro or Performance Model or Power, and it's going to be called something. And PlayStation's got to sell it. I've been listening to multiple PlayStation podcasts, including PS I Love You, which is a very popular PlayStation podcast from Kind of Funny. But this Colin Moriarty made a very great point here. He said, you're just confusing the market. You've got 36 million out there of the original unit. And for years, the original unit has been the unit of what every other console has had to deal with, or mostly every other console has had to deal with, where it just works out of the box and everyone has it and it's one system for all, not a performance edition. And honestly, I don't know if Sony can even risk this without calling it PlayStation 5. I don't know if Sony can just say, we're releasing this version and ruin the momentum. I know that they have revenue right now, but if they dilute the Sony brand, that will be a really big deal in the next 5 to 10 years. What does it say for PlayStation 5? If this is just a PlayStation 4.5, what does it say to PlayStation 5 4 or 5 years from now? Will people actually go out and buy a PlayStation 5 if they just bought a PlayStation 4.5? They expect that these consoles will be around for a long time, right? So there will be then no need to call it PlayStation 5 unless, you just call it the PlayStation, right? And I think that would make a lot more sense. At a certain point, you just say the PlayStation, then have it allow to be expandable and become basically a PC. But I hope that's not the choice that they're making, because one thing that you have to notice is what Microsoft is doing as well. Microsoft is doing a great job going toward consumers and getting people interested. They don't have a VR device, however, they're working with Oculus very closely, and they've also interested themselves in making a more powerful device. I think PlayStation is kind of being a little crazy here. They want to jump on the gun before Xbox is. I think Xbox is going to release a new console as well, and I think PlayStation is speeding up the process so that they can get out earlier than Xbox, so that Xbox doesn't then say we're the most powerful console as well. Because, of course, PlayStation, that's one of the only things that they have when you compare it to Xbox One. Xbox One is backwards compatibility. They have lots of different things that gamers or just Xbox fans in general enjoy. Even their Xbox, Gold games with Gold lineup is arguably stronger than PlayStation 4's for PlayStation Plus. But PlayStation has PlayStation View, and that competes with Xbox One TV compatibility. But at the end of the day, when Xbox upgrades their console, I think PlayStation wants to be just as close to them as as any other time in history, comparing that to the 2013 launch. Now, I don't see that where this could be any good for PlayStation, as Colin already mentioned. I don't see anything good coming out of this at all. PlayStation, the PS4's momentum will stall now because they've announced this. Rumors are floating around; it's everywhere now. Anyone that researches PlayStation 4 before they buy it will see that there's a PlayStation 4 apparently coming out, and sales will stall, sales will slow down, and that's all PlayStation's fault. That's all to do with Sony, making no sense whatsoever. If they had waited, we'd have a better console here, but they didn't. PlayStation 4.5 will have to be really good, because at this point, PlayStation 4 will then slow momentum. I don't even know if it'll reach 55 million units by the end of the year at this rate, to be honest with you. It's the same argument with anyone getting a 3DS to 3DS XL, or new 3DS to an old 3DS, right? When they had the special edition consoles coming out, I remember talking to my friend and saying, hey, you might as well not get this. There's a new 3DS coming out, probably the same price. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're right. No one buys the special edition console. And that's going to be a tough call. It's going to be really crazy to see if, for example, Gran Turismo Sport, which it's looking like over and over, slower and slower, it's going to be delayed, or longer and longer. It looks like it's going to be delayed at this point because we haven't heard anything, or they haven't said anything. That's really disappointing. But polyphony always takes their time, and it's becoming somewhat ridiculous because now that is the only racing studio PlayStation has, and Forza will be coming out with something that I think that will compete with that. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on PlayStation 4.5? I'm gonna have a second video talking about this later on, but comment below. Thanks for watching. I'm Brian Swan. Stay tuned for more.